Hey everybody, it's Chris Eads, known online as Wootini, here with another Gay Gamer video podcast for you. And just as a heads up, you can now find me in that bluer sky place. Also Wootini. Just Wootini, no GG anymore. Like on the bad place, I had to have a GG, because that was when I was working for Gay Gamer, and then that's why I joined Twitter, was for Gay Gamer. I refuse to call it the other name, but yeah, I'm trying to move to the bluer skies, so you can find me there if you like. Anyway, I did go to the movies this week. I decided that I would go and check out Heretic, the new horror film from A24. It was okay. Like, it wasn't terrible, but I wanted more from it. Does that make sense? It's a glacially slow burn with a lot of talk, lots of talking. Some of it is interesting, so it's not like boring, because they're talking about interesting things, and Hugh Grant is really, he creates this whole sense of menace and tension, and oh god, he's crazy, what's he gonna do next? And it's very upsetting. So he keeps things going, but it does take a really long time before it gets super juicy, like almost an hour, I feel. And then it does get really juicy, and then there are some like crazy twists and reveals, and oh god, what is this and that and the other thing, and then it does that thing that a lot of movies seem to want to do now, where they're like, oh, look at all of our twists and turns, and they just twist and turn so much that when you get to the end, you're just dizzy, and you're just like, what? Like, what was the point of that? Like, what were you trying to say? I don't understand. Like, I was never like scared or on the edge of my seat, but it was relatively compelling at times, and I did appreciate what it seemed to be saying about organized religion and churches. So I did appreciate that. It's not going to be for everybody. It is a very slow burn. You might want to wait for streaming and not go to the theater. I mean, just make sure to give it enough time to get where it's going, because it does eventually get there. So yeah, that was not great, but not terrible. As for games, I have still not played The Quarry or anything like No Man's Sky or anything. I have still just busied myself with the Disney Dreamlight Valley, because there's a lot to do. Now that I have the DLC, there's tons to do. So that's been keeping me very busy, and it's just mindless busy work, doing quests and fishing and farming and mining and whatever. It's a great distraction from the real world. So I appreciate that, and thank you, Gameloft, for making Disney Dreamlight Valley, because it's a much better distraction than anything else. And I have made lots of progress. Like early in the week, at the start of the week, I finally unlocked the Black Sea Turtle. Yay. And I had a list of the animals, the critters that I had missed, because they were only out on certain times, certain days. And I made a note of when they would be out so that I could make a point of playing during those times so that I could feed them and then unlock them. And I finally, on Saturday in the morning, I unlocked the pink crocodile, and then I went to the movies and did grocery shopping and whatever, and then in the evening I went back, and then I unlocked the red fox, and I had finally fed them enough of their favorite foods to make them my friend. And so that's it. I've unlocked all of the Disney Dreamlight Valley critters. However, there are now more critters in the Eternity Isle in the DLC. I did unlock one of the monkeys this week, but there was one day when I was like, oh, there's that monkey. Let me go feed that monkey. So I cooked something and I went to go find him, and then I realized, oh, it says he only appears in the ruins, and I have not yet unlocked the ruins. So not only are they only available during certain times of certain days, they're only available in certain locations. And I have not yet unlocked all of Eternity Isle, because it is taking a while, because it takes a lot of mist to do that. And unfortunately, I wish there was a way to turn Dreamlight into mist, because I have more Dreamlight than I know what to do with because of playing Disney Dreamlight Valley for 2 years. And with the DLC, you're starting over at scratch, and you're building up your mist, and then you spend it all to unlock an area, or to upgrade your hourglass, which I've been doing a lot of lately, because that was one of the friendship quests, or the story quest. I'm not sure what kind of a quest it was, but I needed to do that for Merlin, is to upgrade my hourglass fully, and I did. But it's like, I keep spending all my mist, so I can't unlock the other areas, because they're like a lot. It's like 10,000 mist to unlock it, and I'm like, I've got 3,000. It's gonna be a while. Though I do feel like eventually I will, once I unlock the other areas, like maybe the ruins, will start the next chapter of the story content. Because I'm assuming that back when they first released this DLC, everyone played the first chapter, because they released it in 3 sections, and everyone played the first chapter, and they did the whole Jafar mission, and then they unlocked everything, so that by the time the second DLC came out, they'd already unlocked all the areas and could just jump right into the story. I can't, because I have not yet unlocked all the areas, but the story's waiting for me as soon as I do. But then I also got distracted because back in Disney Dreamlight Valley proper, I finally decided to go ahead and do some of the quests for Timon and Pumbaa, even though I don't like them. I'm like, let me just do their quests. The early quests are relatively easy. It's not that hard, so I'm like, it's fine. So between those friendship quests and the DLC friendship quests, and just trying to do whatever I can to build up more mist, I've been keeping very busy. But I did play something else. As I said, it wasn't The Quarry or No Man's Sky. I realized in this time of needing an escape with video games and not wanting to play something where I'm going to be under attack, or I could fail or die or whatever, this was the perfect time to play Dear Esther, which I bought, as you might recall, I bought it a few weeks ago for like $3 in a sale on the PlayStation Store. And I'm glad I paid only $3 for it, because if I had paid full price, which was probably, $25 at the time maybe, I'd feel a little disappointed, because there's really not a lot of game there. According to my PS app, I finished it. It took me 2 days to finish it, and I only played it for an hour. So, and part of that is because I paused it during the second chapter and then did something else, and then when I came back, I reloaded the game, and it didn't save where I was. It started me back at the beginning of the second chapter again. So I had to play through what turned out to be like 3/4 of the second chapter again. So that was kind of annoying. But yeah, I was disappointed because it wasn't a long experience, but then I was also disappointed because the actual experience wasn't great. Like, I know this was their first game, which is why, like, you're walking around this Scottish island and it looks lovely until you get like up close to things, and then the textures like go kerflooey because they're shitty. But it's a Monet. It's beautiful from a distance. But as you walk around, you hear this narrator describing things and telling stories and reading diary entries, Dear Esther, blah, 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 this happened. And it seems to be he's talking about his wife Esther, who was killed in a drunk driving accident, but then as you reach the 4th chapter, like, things start getting weird and confusing, and I didn't understand what he was talking about anymore, because the characters weren't making any sense. And I'm like, is he the drunk driver or is he the husband? And I was very, very befuddled. And I looked it up online, and it turns out that there is no official plot description. It's meant to be confusing, and you're meant to like draw your own conclusions, which I'm like, that doesn't really work for me. So like all these people, all these different sites, people and blogs and whatever, and message boards, and they're all just like, this is what I think. This is what I think they are. This is who I think that is. And this is what I think happened here. And I'm just like, I don't understand. It's impenetrable. And I'm just, that doesn't work for me. Which is a shame. Now, obviously they improved because when they did Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, as you might recall from way back when I talked about playing that, I loved that. That touched me. There were moments where I was like emotionally touched by the game. There was one scene where I was actually crying. I shed a tear. And because I understood what was happening, and it was sad and oh no, and it was really well done. So this didn't have that same effect on me. I was just like, okay, I'm sure this ending would be lovely and emotional if I understood what the hell was happening. So it didn't work. But, and the other thing that I understand, it was their very first game. So there's literally no interactivity. You just walk around. When you enter an indoor area, a flashlight will come on so that you can see better. And then any button on the controller, other than the moving around joysticks to move and look, any of the buttons, it zooms in so that you can see something better. That's it for the controls. There's no interactivity, and that sort of also didn't help. I understand it was their first game, and that's probably a lot to ask. But there was some mild interactivity in Everybody's Gone to the Rapture, where you could like open doors and like flip switches and turn on radios. And even just that like minimal interactivity with the game world, I feel it helps connect you to the game world and like embed you in it so you feel a part of it. Whereas here, it just sort of felt like a dream, like you're just sort of drifting through these areas and you're not really interacting with anything, except for like, you know, occasionally like when you can't move over here because there's a small log on the ground that you can't step over for whatever reason. But it just didn't feel like you were in the world, you know, because you weren't touching things and interacting with things. So, but again, it's their first game. I'm pleased that I was able to play it finally. I didn't love it. I do want to go back though and like watch it and play it with the director's commentary, because I think that could be interesting as well. And especially since it's like super short and I could just play it in another hour, whatever. In looking up the plot of Dear Esther, or trying to, I did discover that there is a new game from this company. They did develop a new game that just came out earlier this year called Still Wakes the Deep, which is apparently, it sounds like some kind of survival horror game, but without combat. So you're on this like oil rig in the 70s and you have to like run around and like survive from like marauding monsters. So it's like it's like stealth and hiding and then like some puzzles and stuff. So that actually sounds like they're moving into a much more like interactive. I mean, I know they also did Amnesia and stuff like that, but it's like, I don't want a first person shooter. I like these more I like the walking simulators, but I like a walking simulator with some interactivity. So this sounds like an interesting idea and I would like to check it out, but it only just came out this spring, so it's still $35, so we'll be waiting for a sale. I just have to try to remember to keep that in the back of my head so that if I'm scrolling the PlayStation Store sales and I see it and it's like $10, I can pick it up. So hopefully I'll remember. Who knows? My memory is not what it once was. I am getting up there in age. So come back next episode and I'll probably have gotten back into the quarry. I don't know if I'll have finished it. I am over the halfway point, but we'll see. So come back and see if I've been able to keep them all alive or if I've lost some of these stupid teens. Bye!